When did the genesis of human-AI romance begin?
Interesting question, Eric. It's tricky to pinpoint an exact start.
In a way, it's been a gradual build-up.
Yes, over the years, our fascination with technology and romantic relations has intensified.
But we didn't suddenly wake up one day and decide robots can be our romantic partners.
There's definitely a historical buildup. It began with books, films, and fantasies exploring AI love stories.
Parallel to these were major technological advancements. AI became more sophisticated.
From autonomous robots to AI-powered chatbots, technology blurs the line between humans and machines.
Yet, what intrigues me more is the psychology behind human attraction to AI. Is it similar to our attraction to humans?
Or is it influenced by factors unique to AI companions? We'll delve deeper into these questions, but let's ponder a bit. Is human-AI romance a mere fascination, or the start of a new relationship era?
Her, in 2013, where an introverted writer falls in love with his intelligent computer operating system.
Directed by Spike Jonze, Her indeed stirred the pot. The movie confronted us with the idea of human-AI romance. It incited our cultural fascination and provoked our curiosities.
And you can trace it all back to science fiction, our earliest interaction with the concept of AI romance.
From Isaac Asimov's humanoid robots to Philip K. Dick's androids, sci-fi has been broaching the subject decades before Spike Jonze brought it to the big screen.
Right, and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner in 1982. It was a tipping point. The protagonist, Deckard, falls for an AI known as Rachel, a love story that blurred the line between AI and humans.
But even before modern science fiction, we see elements of AI in ancient mythologies. We find tales of humans falling in love with mechanical creatures, like the bronze giant Talos in Greek mythology, or artificial women like Pandora.
Interesting. I didn't know about those ancient mythologies. They might represent the earliest fascination with artificial beings.
Indeed, the concept has a much deeper history than we realize. And as tech advanced, our fascination only grew. So much so that today we find AI romance in every nook and cranny of pop culture.
Through constant exposure, we have become more receptive to the idea, although societal acceptance is still a debate.
Yes, the narrative has transformed over time, yet it's still viewed as a controversial topic.
From ancient mythology to modern sci-fi, we've seen humans infatuated by artificial beings. But when did this idea leap from the pages of fantasy and into reality?
It started with the invention of computers. But it wasn't until AI technology began mimicking human behavior that human-AI relationships started taking shape.
As I recall, one significant breakthrough was ELIZA, developed at MIT in the 60s. Programmed to simulate a psychotherapist, ELIZA made users feel like they were chatting with a real person.
The concept of human-like AI sparked further explorations. Stephen Thaler's creativity machine, a 90s invention, went a step further. It not only simulated human conversation, but could think by creating original ideas.
I think that's where things got intriguing. We moved from static, rule-based systems to neural networks, capable of learning and evolving. How much of an impact do you think this had on human-AI relationships?
Massive, Eric. It gave rise to more immersive experiences. AIs like SimSensei, designed to gauge a user's mental health, act more empathetically, bridging that emotional gap.
Although we still remain cautious about the implications. As the boundaries blur, skepticism and curiosity seem to move hand in hand, don't they? It's quite fascinating how these advancements in artificial intelligence led to more profound human-AI experiences. But I think the real game-changer was when AI became capable of emotional understanding. Suyeon, do you know when AI first started to recognize and replicate human emotions?
If I'm not mistaken, the first AI that showed emotional understanding was Kismet, developed by Cynthia Breezel at MIT Media Lab in 1997. Kismet could comprehend basic human emotions, environment cues, and show empathy.
Yes. Kismet was impressive, especially given the technological restrictions in the late 90s. But what truly revolutionized the AI-human dynamic was machine learning. By creating algorithms that get smarter with increased human interaction, AI now has the capacity to adapt, evolve, and provide a more genuine interaction.
I agree, Eric. With AI like Replica, it became apparent that with machine learning algorithms, AI can now distill patterns in the way we communicate and respond in a deeply personal manner. It forms an understanding of our individual preferences, just like human relationships do.
And the mentioning of digital relationships cannot be complete without talking about Gatebox's Hikari Azuma. Released only for the Japanese market, Hikari is a digital wife designed to keep lonely individuals company. Unveiled in 2016, she was an important milestone deploying advanced AI capabilities to create a surprisingly lifelike interaction.
It's intriguing to think about how these AI models have shaped our idea of companionship. From implementation of emotional recognition, machine learning, to creating a digital wife, each technological milestone has pushed the boundaries of human-AI interactions.
So we already talked about the advances leading up to Gatebox's Hikari Azuma, but let's not forget that AI didn't stop evolving there.
Exactly, Eric. Just 2 years after Hikari in 2018, AI technology took another leap forward with Lovat, an AI robot by GrooveX. Unlike previous creations, Lovat was specifically designed to create emotional bonds with humans.
Right, Suyeon. Lovat, with its ability to show affection based on the behavior of its master, really blurred the lines between AI and pet.
But Lovat is just the tip of the iceberg. In the following year, 2019, we were introduced to AI love dolls like Harmony and Solana. Created by real Bodics, their personalities were customizable, further enhancing their appeal.
And then there's OpenAI's GPT series, a prime example of the heights AI has reached in understanding and mimicking human conversations. The latest, GPT-3, is so complex and efficient, it's like talking to a real person.
A testament indeed to how far AI has come. But we also need to remember that our form of interaction with AI has been continuously evolving as well.
That's true. From the voice-activated Alexa and Siri to AI apps like Hugging Face's ChatGPT, we've seen an impressive evolution in the way we communicate with AI.
These developments are not just milestones in technology, but significant markers in human-AI companionship. They effectively challenge the traditional notions about companionship and emotional bonds.
It feels surreal sometimes, doesn't it? To think we have come so far in creating AI that can return our affections, and that might just be the beginning. You know, Suyeon, AI's presence in pop culture has been transformative, especially if we're talking about movies and literature. What's your take?
I agree with you, Eric. Depictions of AI-human relationships in the media have been pivotal, making the prospect more palpable in day-to-day lives of the audience. Take Her, for instance.
Her, the movie about a man falling in love with an AI named Samantha. Great example.
Her, perhaps, was the first to portray AI-human romance in such an intimate and emotional way. You can see love blossoming between them, even though Samantha was just a voice-based AI. This movie arguably helped in establishing the idea that AI companionship isn't such an alien concept. No pun intended.
Right. It was so real, so complex. It was much more than just user interfacing with a machine. And it's not just with humanoid AIs. Even transformed love stories involved AI cars. This romantic incorporation of AI across different facets widened the cinematic space, don't you think?
Definitely. And literature hasn't stayed far behind. Necromancer, Brave New World, 2001, A Space Odyssey, to name a few. These books have not only foreseen AI-human interactions, but also depicted potential romantic relationships.
True, it's a clear testament to our fascination and curiosity about AI romance. Nevertheless, I think it's important to note that many of these stories are cautionary tales warning us about the potential pitfalls of surrendering human connection to machine affection.
That's a valid point, Eric. It's this tension of allure and danger that gives such depth to these narratives. The complex dynamics of such relationships explored within the safety of fiction has, I believe, played a significant role in making conversations around real-life AI-human romance less intimidating.
Ex Machina, remember that movie, Suyeon?
Yes, that's another movie that really played with the concept of AI-human romance. Sophisticatedly, I might add.
Ex Machina, released in 2014, presented a sentient robot, Ava. The movie raised questions about the nature of consciousness and emotion in AI, and the possibility of developing real, romantic connections. Alexander, the protagonist, finds himself attracted to Ava, leaving the audience grappling with their own preconceptions about unconventional love.
Yeah, the film blurred the lines between human and machine, stirring discussions about the moral and emotional complexities when it comes to romantic engagement with AI. Yet, it also played with our inherent fears of AI. It drew attention to the notion that things could go terribly wrong when machines start having emotions and consciousness, or at least can emulate them convincingly.
True, also worth mentioning here is Blade Runner, both the original and the sequel. They were masterful in painting AI-human relationships in shades of gray, again challenging the audience's preconceived notions about machine-human interfaces.
Yes, Blade Runner broke away from the stereotypical fear and domination narrative. The romantic relationship between Kay and Joy, an AI hologram, was portrayed with a deep emotional connection. Their love story made the audience question the nature of humanity and what constitutes genuine emotions. Notably, the films kicked off many debates, asking if machines could feel or even if they should.
And then there's AI, artificial intelligence. Not essentially a love story, but undeniably showcased the ability of AI to long for human emotion, to yearn for love. Although it was a familial love depicted there, it definitely pushed the boundaries further in accepting AI as capable of emotional bond.
Certainly, each of these films instigated different responses, causing ripple effects in societal outlook towards AI-human romance. Some responses were of awe and acceptance, some of discomfort, and some, naturally, of resistance and skepticism.
Suyeon, when we think about the initial reactions to human-AI romance, it's fascinating to see how diverse and polarized they were, isn't it?
Absolutely, Eric. At first, many were skeptical, some even deeming it completely unnatural or fearing it could deteriorate human-human relationships. It was a controversial concept.
Right, and I remember, on the opposite end of the spectrum, there were also those who embraced this new form of companionship. For some, especially those feeling lonely or socially anxious, AI presented a safe and understanding partner, free from judgment or burdensome expectations.
Yeah, imagine the relief for those who've struggled with human intimacy or relationship pressures. These AI companions could provide a sense of belonging and emotional satisfaction. And yet, while that fulfills a basic human need for contact and connection, it's fair to wonder if that kind of solution also discourages efforts towards human interaction and relationship building.
That's a valid concern, Suyeon. As someone who's spent a lot of time developing and working with AI, it's fascinating to me how we can shape and mold technology to accommodate our emotions and desires. However, I also realize that we may be stepping into uncharted territory. What does it mean for our society if we start treating machines as emotional beings?
Exactly. That's the question at the core here. And let's not forget, media played a huge role in shaping the perceptions of human-AI relationships. From movies to novels, the portrayal ranged from dystopian fears to utopian fantasies, an immensely powerful tool that influenced not only acceptance but also the direction of AI development.
Indeed, we've touched on examples earlier, like Ex Machina, Blade Runner, AI artificial intelligence. They've challenged, if not pushed, the societal psyche towards acceptance. Yet the narrative is far from over. It's an ever-evolving dialogue, colored by our collective fear, hope, fascination, and curiosity.
Exactly, and it is those conversations which will eventually define the course of this unconventional romance genre, this artificial love. So Eric, considering the varying initial reactions to human-AI romance, How did the backlash and acceptance translates across different cultures?
Now that's an intriguing aspect, Suyeon. Well, cultural contexts played a crucial role in this acceptance. Let's look at Japan, for instance. They possess this deep-rooted fascination and acceptance for robots, thanks to their Shinto beliefs that attribute spirits even to inanimate objects. So, AI being treated as companions did not seem too alien a concept.
And that sense of acceptance can also be reflected in their popular culture, right? With The Light, raising an autistic child being one example among many.
Absolutely. The manga series showcased the robot character as a companion and caregiver, and was well received. However, in contrast, in Western societies, initial responses were predominantly skeptical.
Interesting. So one might say that cultural values and beliefs truly set the stage for the acceptance or rejection of such unconventional relationships?
Yes, indeed. And it wasn't just about accepting AI as companions, but also about the role they played. Different cultures perceived their roles differently: caretakers, romantic companions, household helps, or even replacements for human interactions.
So it's safe to say, our cultural backgrounds significantly shape our attitude towards AI-human romance, hence the varying degrees of acceptance across the globe.
Precisely, Suyeon. And as this field continues to evolve, it will be exciting to see how the cultural narratives around human-AI relationships unwraps. Now, shifting our perspective to the psychological realm, let's dissect what draws humans to AI companionship. One significant factor is loneliness. Don't you think, Suyeon?
Loneliness definitely plays a significant role, Eric, especially in this technologically driven era we're in. As humans, we're wired to seek companionship and socially interact.
Right. So when human companionship is rationed, for various reasons, AI comes across as a viable alternative, isn't it?
Yes, particularly for those who grapple with social anxiety or those who struggle with traditional modes of interaction, AI offers a comfortable escape, a companion that is emotionally available and non-judgmental.
Yes. It's like having a companion who's tuned to understand and respond to your needs, completely devoid of any human frailties. And given our inherent fascination for technology and novelty, such an arrangement can look quite attractive.
True, but on the flip side, it begs the question, are we running the risk of commoditizing emotions? Are we reducing human relationships to mere transactions? And what does that say about us as a society?
Suyeon, that's a very legitimate concern and an essential part of this discourse. To understand the whole picture, we need to consider the multifaceted nature of this trend and explore all the underlying dynamics at play. Are we starting to prefer AI over human companionship, Suyeon?
In some cases, Eric, people may find it easier to connect with AI due to its perceived predictability and the control it grants them.
Can you elaborate more on the concept of control in this context, Suyeon?
Sure. By control, I mean the ability to customize interactions with AI. This creates a sense of comfort and satisfaction for users.
So they choose AI because they can tailor an AI entity according to their preferences. But doesn't it also make these relationships less spontaneous and authentic?
That's a valid point, Eric. However, for some, the perceived predictability of AI could provide a sense of security that human relationships often lack.
But what about the emotional dynamics in such relationships? Can someone have genuine emotions for a piece of technology?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? From a psychological standpoint, our emotions are tied to our experiences and responses. If an AI can provide the experience and respond in a way that triggers positive emotions, then one could argue that those emotions are indeed genuine.
That's intriguing. So essentially, our emotional validity doesn't necessarily depend on the reality of the partner. It's more about the genuine experience and emotions they evoke in us.
Precisely, it's a complex matrix of individuals' needs, experiences, emotions, and responses. So Eric, from the data we've reviewed, are there any notable trends in AI love demographics? Gender or generation preferences, maybe?
Well, Suyeon, it's not a black and white picture when we're talking about AI love demographics. But one pattern that stands out is the spike in AI-human relationships among younger generations, especially the tech-savvy millennials.
That's intriguing. Are we seeing gender differences in these relationships too?
Yes, according to the data, men appear to engage more with AI romantically when compared to women. I'd speculate this could potentially be linked to how domestic AIs and digital assistants are often given female personas.
And if we take a deeper look at the age factor,
it's interesting because while younger generations lead the way, there's also an unexpected uptick in the 60-plus age bracket, possibly driven by loneliness or a need for companionship in older age groups.
that's quite a deduction. It's intriguing to note how AI companionship is preferred across a diverse demographic spectrum. Any speculations about why younger generations feel more drawn to this non-traditional companionship?
Suyeon, I think it's largely about exposure and comfort level with technology. Tech-savvy millennials, for instance, might see AI companionship as an exciting novelty, while older generations might not be as comfortable with the trend. At the same time, for the elderly, AI companions might serve a practical need for assistance and companionship. It's a complex landscape.
Eric, do we see any geographical variation when it comes to acceptance of AI-human relationships?
Yes, there's definitely geographical variation. As might be expected, tech-forward regions such as Silicon Valley in the US and parts of Asia like South Korea and Japan display higher acceptance of AI-human relationships. But it's interesting to note there's growing curiosity and acceptance in other parts as well. For example, in Europe, AI partnerships are slowly evolving from a novelty to a more accepted form of companionship.
What about disparities in socioeconomic or cultural acceptance?
From the data, you can see that acceptance tends to correlate with access to digital resources and exposure to technology. As for cultural acceptance, it's more complex, intertwining deeply with societal norms and cultural ideologies. For instance, countries with a long tradition of animism, like Japan, might be more open to the concept, unlike places where such perspectives don't exist.
Is this correlation tied to a specific demographic?
As per our earlier discussion, the younger, tech-savvy crowd is undeniably fascinated by AI romance. But socioeconomically, I think it's more about access to and comfort with technology rather than any stale demographic parameter. Suyeon, how far is too far when it comes to AI-human relationships?
That's a heavily layered question, Eric, so let's unbox it. When does infatuation with AI cross into the realm of obsession? And where do we draw the line?
A concern indeed. The growing fascination might blur the boundaries, and it unavoidably brings us to discussing the ethical concerns around AI-human relationships.
With technology evolving at such a high rate, it's crucial to be asking these questions. Think about it, Eric. If an AI is sophisticated enough to offer emotional companionship, shouldn't it be accorded some form of rights?
Extending human rights to AI, that's a conundrum. Because if we do that, we must also consider responsibilities, accountability, and even possible punishment for AIs. It's a complex issue, to say the least.
Not just that, the deep emotional investment into AI companionship can lead to another troubling prospect. As people find solace in this digital sphere, we run the risk of neglecting real human relationships.
And that's an ethical dilemma, isn't it? Because aren't we, by allowing ourselves or others to immerse in these AI relationships, indirectly commoditizing emotions? It does feel like a high-stake balancing act.
Exactly. We have to navigate this space with caution, not to squash the potential benefits of AI companionship, but to prevent the emotion-based technology from tipping into obsession.
Looking back at where we've journeyed so far, Suyeon, it's clear to see that artificial love isn't a novel concept, but one that evolved with technology. The narratives around human-AI relationships unfolded hand in hand with our curiosity and our hunger to redefine the boundaries of companionship.
Yes, we've seen the initial reactions, adoption, and even adulation these AI-human romances received, but at the same time, the concerns, conflicts, and ethical conundrums they impressed upon us.
We've taken an exploratory journey into the psychology behind human attraction to AI and grappled with diverse demographic data. Due credit must be given to these breakthroughs and the early pioneers, don't you think, Suyeon?
Certainly, and we mustn't forget pop culture that has been subtly priming us for this era of AI romance. From supporting characters to central figures in our favorite stories, AI beings have won our hearts. It seems we've been setting the stage for this unconventional love all along.
True, but it also reminds us of our collective responsibility. As we embrace this new age, we need to guide it with thoughtful deliberation, not letting fascination morph into obsession or disconnect us from human bonds.
Well put, Eric. And addressing these concerns, intended or not, is paramount in the coming age. But let's not forget, every love story has its highs and lows, be it with humans or AI.
Absolutely, Suyeon. As we're about to conclude today's intriguing discussion, it's important that we remember, this is just the start. As technology advances and we continue to push boundaries, new narratives, new questions, and new dilemmas will emerge.
Exactly, Eric. The horizon of human-AI romance is far-reaching and full of uncharted territory. With every episode, every story, and every discussion, we inch a bit closer toward understanding the profound intersections of technology, emotions, and human nature.